snow engine, snow project here. I'd like to say a few words about the equipment. This is I'm sure most of you know most of this. This is a 600 horsepower. How many horse? 600 gas. Come closer. Internal combustion engine, which is direct connected to a gas compressor. It pumped natural gas through a pipeline, I don't know, 75 miles north of here, I suppose, between Sheffield and Ludlow, Pennsylvania. It did that for about 75 years, from about 1915 or 16 to about 1993. It was in a fairly large station. The original station was steam powered, and they added on to that, and in this time period constructed two 400 horsepower snow compressors like this, but smaller, and two 600s, this being one of them. And the other 600 is currently running in Rolog, Minnesota. The last thing I knew, one of the 400s was in kind of semi-preservation. I don't know what happened to the fourth one. And then they went on and they took the steam equipment out many, many years ago and replaced it with some newer medium-speed compressors. So this was an active compressor station for probably 100 years or more. Currently, this engine is operable. It is one of 3 or 4 the largest engines pretty much anywhere on Earth operating. Its sister engine operates in Rolog, Minnesota, as I said. There is, I think, a 500 horsepower C&G Cooper engine operating at the Rough and Tumble Museum east of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And there is another one of these that has 2 rows of cylinders rather than one that's been saved and hopefully will run again sometime, which I believe is in Michigan. This engine weighs about 140 tons. It's about 70 feet long. Flywheel is about 18 feet in diameter and weighs 20 tons. The engine operates at about 90 RPM. I'm going to put on my cheating glasses here. I guess the next thing I'd like to recognize are some of the people at companies that helped make this project happen. And I always hate to do this because I'm going to miss a lot of people, and maybe some of the other people who want to say a few words can remember some of those, but I would like to mention that the late John Wilcox, who was the co-founder of this museum, provided a lot of the inspiration and mechanical knowledge and Oreo cookies required to disassemble this engine without breaking anything. And I'd sort of like to briefly recognize Al Stickney, who has passed away, that donated the roof trusses that formed the building here. And a sincere thanks to Brad Miller and Miller Welding in Brookville for donating the building columns. And to Smith Hauling, who has a business down the road, who did some of our rigging and crane work at a reduced cost. And Dobson Construction, who built the foundation and cut us some much needed breaks. And also to all the people, all the individuals and other groups, including the Diebold Foundation, that made generous donations that allowed this project to move forward. And of course, I'd like to also remember Claire Exley, who put in, as a volunteer here, hundreds and hundreds of hours reinstalling small parts of this engine, who passed away here recently. And probably lastly, our existing grunt crew that we affectionately respectively call the grunt crew, a small group of volunteers here that did pretty much all the reassembly work. We'll be hearing a few comments from them in a few minutes. And I think with that, I don't want to say any more because I know you all come up here to hear the engine run and not to hear me talk. So with that, I'd like to find perhaps Ben Egloff, if he's in the crew here, in the group here anywhere.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up to see this engine run. This is why we've worked so hard to get it running, and we do appreciate the recognition from that. Anybody who's ever seen a project this large probably thinks it's so overwhelming and walks away. But this is one opportunity that we grabbed by the horns and just went to it. And a little bit now, a little bit then actually goes a long ways. And our efforts actually have paid off to get this engine running, as you well know. And actually, putting the engine together was a very easy task. It was all the plumbing that was kind of hard work, because we had to build that all from scratch. So if you think it was a big project, in reality, yes, it was. But as you work on it, you do small tasks at a time, and it actually goes very quickly. And with that said, it was very, very surprising to see how well it started and ran the first time around. And, you know, I really don't know what else to say other than thank everybody for their hard work, who put their time into this, and we cannot possibly recognize all of the man hours that were involved with this and all the people that helped. And they all need some thanks as well.
Chris, could you say a few words there?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. I'm Chris Austin, Vice President of the museum. I want to thank Ben here especially, and Mark Himes for giving me a lot of motivation on this project. And without them, it wouldn't be done yet. We'd still be working on it. A few times we started getting burnt out, you know, but in the end it was worth it. We started putting it together. I thought it'd take 2 or 3 years, and we kind of missed that by a little bit. So sorry for making y'all wait to see it run. I want to also thank been a lot of other volunteers here that have helped off and on and donated money to make the project possible. Just had a lot of support all the way around. And in June there, when we started it, I thought we'd have to wrench on it and, you know, do some tweaking here and there, and, you know, build the air tank back up 3 or 4 times. And when I hit the gas and turned the ignition on, and it just took right off, I was speechless. I was dumbfounded. It was very uneventful. I'm like, that's it? 5 years and it just took right off? But what a great feeling. And that's about all I have to say. I'll hurry up and shut up and get the air compressor started after a couple other people talk, and we'll let you see it run. So thank you very much for coming out today, everyone. Yeah, Mark Himes. Run it on aisle 7, clean up on aisle 7.
Seeing as how they all blackmailed me into this, because I despise public speaking, they've already said that thanks to everybody. It's really satisfying to me because I actually seen this engine run when it was still in service, and it's real satisfying to see it up and running and operational again, and to a point where everybody can appreciate it, which that makes it as much satisfaction to the job that we've done on it as anything else. So everybody can appreciate it, and hopefully for years to come. So I'm going to give it to Doc Harvey now and let him finish up, and we'll get it fired up and running here.
I just want to say a few more words. This has been a 20-year project. We began removing this engine we removed it in 1993, and it's progressed since then, but the project really has existed longer than that. I'd like to have Paul Harvey come up here and tell us a little bit about the beginnings of this, at least, because It was his initiative that started this whole thing, and without his early efforts, none of this would have happened.
Thanks, Clark. You know, we're talking about the snow and all the hard work, and it's here. I could tell you a little bit about the early days of it. In the late 1960s, I was just starting to collect engines, starting to realize that there were a whole lot of nice gas engines out in the oil field. And I remember the day that I was up around Warren, Pennsylvania, near Sheffield, and driving out Route 6, and there was a big compressor station alongside the road. And the sign said Roystone Station. And gosh, you could see some big red flywheels inside the building turning. And so old pickup pulled in there and went down to the building. Of course, back in those days, the engineer would just say, come on in, you know, just look around. And the snow was there. It was love at first sight. I spent many times going up there, always stop by Roystone, spend a half hour watching the big snow run. Probably in the mid-70s, got the idea that, well, maybe it's going to shut down sometime. And big project, long way down the road, but maybe it could come to Cool Springs. So started contacting the gas company and starting to make preliminary negotiations on the disposition of the engine, and this engine and the one that also went to roll-off. In the meantime, we had a station with snow engines just about 20 miles from here, East Station. And there's still, although they're inactive, there's still 6 400-horse snow engines inside that building. And at that time, the engineer of that building, who's hiding back here around the corner, Mike Roney, used to do evening runs. And we would go up there on the evening after a show, and Mike would run the snows, and we would have a whole lot of fun, and it would keep the enthusiasm going. And someday, maybe the big one would come here. Well, in 1993, the gas company shut it down and said it's down for the last time. Come up to their main office, sign a few papers, and it's ours. Oh gosh, this is easy. We took their insurance certificate out, signed the papers. They said, there it is. Now all you gotta do is take it out of our building, take it home and set it up. Okay, one free engine, simple project. 21 years later, it is here. We dismantled the engine along with the roll-off crew. We worked side by side up there. That was kind of fun because we could borrow tools and ideas from one another and dismantle the 2 engines. We actually hauled everything on this engine on the old museum tilt deck, which is the old Red International 10-wheeler sitting out around the corner to the right. Everything but the main crankcase frame, which weighs 34 tons, and Smith Hauling from the neighboring little town, Oliveburg, moved that home for us. It took years. The gas company provided a local building about 4 miles away that they weren't using anymore for storage. So we were lucky, we were able to bring the parts home, get it out of their station up at Roystone, and put it in their storage building here. But that meant long days running manual chain blocks, lifting parts, putting them on the truck, and then bringing them home, backing in the building up the road here, again with a manual 10-ton chain block, and unloading the parts, moving them to the right place so we could get everything inside. Been a long project, been a wonderful project, been a very dedicated crew, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris Austin, who will run the engine for you today. more thing, for any of you who haven't been up here before, there's a storyboard back here that has lots of information about the history of the company.
What's that? Dead center. I don't know if we'll have a tank of flare around or. I had the video. Okay. One second.